Okay, the main thing that you really need to take note of for this one is this y equals to arc sine t. This y equals to arc sine t is not the same thing as sine t to the power of -1. In other words, sine minus 1t, as you see here, is not the same as 1 over sine t. So don't be mistaken into thinking that it is. So it is also not cosecant. Okay, so what the question actually asks you to do now is to sketch the curve. Now when you sketch the curve, you have to do all the analysis, but it might help you to go to your smart view, to your GC first and calculate, or rather ask it to draw for you. I'm sorry, my computer seems to be doing strange things today. Okay, so we draw it, inputting what we need, 1 minus t square, and the other one is arc sine t. And you notice that the question only asks you to draw for t equals to -1 until t equals to 1. So we change the window from t equals to -1 until t equals to 1. Okay, and then we see the graph. So it's such a tiny thing there. For your drawing, please zoom in, choose the zoom box. It doesn't give me a very accurate picture of what it looks like, so normally I'll go and see it in the square form. Okay, notice this empty spot here. Be assured it is not actually empty. It's one thing where your GC fails. So if you trace t equals to -1, you notice x equals to 0, and if you move along, you can't go any further. Why? Because in your window, your t step is 0.1308, etc. Now if you can make it even smaller, 0.01 for example, your graph will take longer to draw because it has to calculate more values. But notice the gap is filled up. Okay, so we just need to replicate this on the graph that it's supposed to be drawing, which you still need to label everything. So you need to label this point, you need to label this point, you need to label this point. And in order to find these points, your GC is not enough. I need to see the working. So you see that when x equals to 0, this whole thing, 1 minus t squared square rooted, equals to 0. So for this, t actually equals to 1 or -1. And at this point, if t equals to 1 or -1, y equals to sine inverse 1 or sine inverse of -1, which is, you should know this actually, but for the benefit of those who don't, you calculate it out. This 1.57 is actually pi over 2. So you have pi over 2 or sine inverse of -1 negative pi over 2. Okay, So you have the 2 points, 0 pi over 2 or 0 negative pi over 2, which means you can calculate this. And the remaining point there is when y equals to 0. Y equals to 0, then sine inverse t equals to 0, which just tells you that t equals to sine 0, which is 0. So if t equals to 0, 1 minus t squared equals to 1, which just tells you that x equals to 1. So the point here is 1, 0. Which means this point here is 1. Okay, you don't have to do any other calculations because it is fairly obvious that there are no stationary points.